What if the thought that's been torturing you all week isn't actually true? It just hasn't been questioned yet. Stay with us, because by the end we're going to test that together, including a guided meditation that might be the quietest 2 minutes of your day. Let me say what this is about, because your time matters. There's a surprisingly simple claim we're going to explore today, that the errors in our thinking, the catastrophic stories, the harsh self-assessments, the loops we can't seem to exit, don't actually need to be fought, argued with, or analyzed. They dissolve on their own when something truer shows up, like darkness in a room the moment you flip a light switch. You don't fight darkness. You don't reason with it, you just bring light, and it's gone. The problem this addresses is the one most of us are quietly exhausted by, the mental loop. The rehearsing. The defending, the reinforcing of beliefs that are actively making us miserable. And the practice we're going to talk about isn't more effort, it's actually less. It's allowing something steadier underneath your current thinking to do the correcting for you. Let me give you a scene you'll recognize. You send a message to a colleague. Something straightforward, a question, an update, nothing dramatic. And then, silence. 10 minutes pass, 30. An hour. 2 hours. And somewhere in that gap, your mind starts writing, they're annoyed. You said it wrong. You should have waited. They're talking to someone else about you right now. You're being slowly excluded and you didn't even notice. By the time the reply finally lands, turns out they were in back-to-back meetings. You're already running on a story so vivid it didn't feel like invention. It felt like memory. It felt like fact. Notice what happened there. The trigger was silence. Just silence. The reaction was a fully produced drama, complete with characters, motives, and a tragic arc. And here's the part worth sitting with, none of it was in the message. None of it was in their behavior. All of it was authored in here. This is what we'll call the commentary loop. The mind's habit of writing stories over silence and over ambiguity, and then calling those stories facts. We don't notice we're doing it because the stories arrive faster than our awareness of them. By the time we look, they already feel like the truth. Here's a way to picture what's happening. Imagine your mind is a whiteboard, and this whiteboard has been written on for years. Frantic notes, old accusations, warnings, worst-case scenarios, arguments you never got to finish. Every story your mind has ever drafted about who you are, who other people are, and what's about to go wrong, it's all up there. Layered, smudged, overlapping. And what most of us do, when we want peace, is try to erase. We grab a particular thought, I'm not enough, they're upset with me, I'm going to fail at this, and we try to wipe it off. We argue with it. We reframe it. We journal about it. We affirm against it. And what happens? The ink smears. The thought doesn't really leave. It just gets rearranged. Now here's the shift. What if correction doesn't work like erasing? What if it works like turning on a light? Because here's the thing about that whiteboard. Underneath all the writing, the surface was always clean. The marks aren't part of the board. They were added, and when something steadier and clearer enters the room, call it truth. Call it presence. Call it the part of you that was never anxious in the first place. You don't have to scrub. You just notice that the writing was never the surface itself. It was always temporary. It was always erasable. It was, in a real sense, never permanent to begin with. So here's the question worth holding. What if errors in thinking don't need to be defeated? What if they simply collapse the moment something steadier shows up? This is counterintuitive, because we've been trained to believe that fixing our thoughts requires effort, more mental work, better arguments against the bad thoughts, sharper self-talk. And what happens when we live that way is exhausting, because we're using the same anxious mind to try to correct itself. It's like asking a smudged eraser to clean a smudged board. The tool and the problem are made of the same material. But there's a part of you that isn't the commentary. There's a part of you that notices the commentary. That part has been there your whole life. It doesn't argue, it doesn't panic. It just sees. And when you let that part be present, even for a moment, the noisy thoughts don't need to be wrestled. They get quiet on their own. Not because you defeated them, because they were never as solid as they seemed. This is the turn. This is where it gets practical. You stop trying to fix the writing. You let the light come on. So what does that actually look like in real life? It looks like this. The next time you catch yourself in the loop, rehearsing the conversation, building the case, defending against an attack that hasn't happened, you pause. Just for a moment, and instead of trying to talk yourself out of the story, you set it down. Not erase it. Not argue with it, just set it down for 5 minutes and notice what's underneath. What you'll find, almost always, is that underneath the noise there's a steadier presence already there. Breath. Awareness. A quiet that doesn't need anything from you. It was there the whole time. The story was just loud enough to drown it out. 5 minutes. That's the practice. Not solving. Not fixing, just allowing something more stable than your current thinking to take up the space. And then, eventually, the reply arrives. The colleague writes back, they were in meetings. That's all it ever was. And in that instant, the entire drama you constructed, the exclusion, the conflict, the spiral, evaporates. Not because you fought it, because the truth simply showed up, and the story had nowhere to stand. Notice how fast that release was. That speed, that instantaneous dissolution, is what becomes available when you stop treating your thoughts like surfaces and start treating them like writing on a board. Daily life doesn't change. Your inbox is still full. Your colleagues are still busy. The world still goes silent on you sometimes. What changes is the commentary running over it. And when the commentary changes, everything changes. You don't become a different person. You just stop mistaking the writing for who you are. You return, quietly, to something you always were underneath. It feels less like breakthrough and more like recognition, like coming back to a room you'd forgotten was always yours. So as we move into the meditation, there's nothing to figure out, nothing to fix, just a few minutes to let the light come on. and to notice what's been there the whole time. If you're finding value here, you're welcome to like the video and subscribe. And now, let's shift into a quiet guided meditation together. Let's take a few minutes together. Find a position where your body can rest. Shoulders down. Jaw soft. Hands wherever they want to be. Let your breath arrive on its own. You don't have to deepen it, just notice it's already happening. Feel the weight of your body where it's supported. The chair. The floor. The ground beneath you. Something is holding you up right now without any effort from you. Notice the thoughts that are present. The lists. The conversations. The half-finished worries. You don't have to push them away. You don't have to fix them. Just let them be there. Like writing on a board across the room. And now, gently, turn your attention to what's noticing the thoughts, not the thoughts themselves. The awareness behind them, the part of you that's quietly watching. That part isn't anxious, it isn't rehearsing anything. It's just here. It's been here the whole time. Rest your attention there. Not effortfully. Just allow it. If a thought comes up and pulls you, that's fine. Notice it. And come back to the awareness underneath. The steadier place. Feel how this part of you doesn't need to defend anything, doesn't need to prove anything, doesn't need to fix the day. Let the noise be loud or quiet. It doesn't matter, you're not it. Feel your breath again. Feel the weight of your body. Feel the simple fact that you're here, right now, and something steady is present underneath everything. The stories will come back. That's okay, you'll know now that they're writing, not surface. Take one more breath, let it be slow. Let it be yours, and when you're ready, slowly, gently, let your attention come back to the room, to the sounds around you, to the light, to this moment. Nothing to carry, nothing to fix, just a little more space than before. Thank you for practicing with us today. If you'd like, there's a link to a free digital copy of ACIM in the description. And if this video resonated with you, please comment. I am grateful. Thank you for being here. Really, spending these few minutes with your own mind, on purpose, is not a small thing. If something in you got quieter today, trust it, and let it stay quiet for a while before the world rushes back in. Be gentle with yourself this week. We'll see you next time.